Chat Sports held a 3-round live mock draft with all 32 teams drafting, 18 live shows at our company, and I selected for Patriots at pick number 4, pick number 38, 69, and 77. We're going to break down who I picked, why I picked them, and why I think the Patriots should be interested in actually drafting them for the real thing in just 1 week. If you guys are ready for the real NFL draft, go on ahead and spam Pats in the comment section down below. We are less than 1 week away from the Patriots adding new players to their roster, and I am getting very, very excited. This mock draft just proved to me, look, there's a lot of good talent out there at a lot of different positions, but I do still feel very strongly that New England needs to beef up the positions of need right now, not just draft best player available. But with that being said, here is who I took with the first 3 rounds for the New England Patriots, who do have 4 picks in the first 3 rounds. I took Will Campbell at pick number 4. In the offensive tackle from LSU, I took Tre Harris, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss, with pick number 38. I took Cam Skattebo, the thick running back out of Arizona State University, with pick number 69. And then I had Jordan Burch, the edge out of Oregon. We'll talk a little bit why I decided to go edge here instead of adding another offensive lineman to our depth piece. But first, let's talk about the offensive lineman that I did take, Will Campbell. I know a lot of you guys are very iffy about Will Campbell, and I need you to just end the skepticism. This is a phenomenal offensive lineman. He's probably going to be better than half the offensive tackles in the NFL the first year that he plays, and that is no joke. That's not coming from me either. That's coming from actual NFL draft analysts that spend all year looking at players like this. And keep in mind, before you say, well, why didn't you trade down? There were no trades in our mock draft, so I had to keep pick number 4, and I think when you get an offensive guard and an offensive tackle, he can interchangeably play interior and exterior, and I don't care where he plays. If he allows 2 sacks, that is great. Great news for Drake May. So, in this depth chart, I decided to put him at left guard just to show you that even if he does play internally, that is still a 10 times better offensive line than what we had last year. I personally would like to see Will Campbell play left tackle. Maybe hope Layden Robinson gets more picks there and more reps at the left guard position. But overall, Will Campbell is going to lift this offensive line up. It needs a revamp. You already have Garrett Bradbury, Mike Onwenu, who, obviously we love Mike Onwenu. He's been a starter for the last couple of years. Morgan Moses, the older right tackle. You need some fresh young legs there over on the left side. So I'm going to ask you guys this. Grade the Will Campbell pick. I know a lot of you guys aren't going to like this pick. But in reality, if it makes you feel any better, my choices were either Armand Membo or Will Campbell. I surprisingly went with Campbell despite really enjoying Armand Membo's tape. So let me know, A, B, C, D, or F, how do you grade my pick of Will Campbell at pick number 4? The reason why I went Will Campbell is because, surprise, surprise, that's the number 1 need here for the New England Patriots heading into Thursday. I know you guys are blown away by Ashton Genty. I know you want to trade down. I'm actually okay with trading down too. But regardless, if you trade down, you need to get an offensive tackle / guard. You can't argue anymore. It doesn't matter if you get Genty because he has nowhere to go because your offensive line is still struggling. So I put those 2 at number 1 needs, tackle and guard. Then you have receiver, then maybe a defensive tackle or an edge. And then we could talk a little bit about a running back. So let's go with number 3 here. I decided to take Tre Harris, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss, with pick number 38. Now, keep in mind, when we did this mock draft, Luther Burden was off the board. So was Jaden Higgins. And so ended up having our wide receiver that we really did like here in Matthew Golden. He actually went later in round 1 than I really did. I actually believe he'll go in the real thing. But I really like Tre Harris to be paired up with Stephon Diggs. 60 receptions, 1,000-yard receiver, which we haven't seen in New England for quite some time. But I like the 70. The 70 for his longest catch in 2024. The reason why I think Tre Harris is going to be a really good fit with Drake May is because he has the opportunity to be your go route type of guy. He also has the skill set for go, no go. He knows how to accelerate and stop. Accelerate and stop. That can be very important for a Drake May who showed a little bit of inaccuracy in year 1. So the scouting report here for a guy like Tre Harris from our very own Tom Downey, who is the host of our Cowboys report here, He has him as a number 7 overall wide receiver this year. He's a big body with the ability to threaten defenses downfield. Keep in mind, 6'2". Everybody loves Det McMillan because he's 6'4", 6'5". You got to get a little bit taller of receiver. I do like Harris's height. Found much more success in contested catches last year. Definitely good to note. Limited route tree in the Ole Miss offense. So when you have a guy like Harris, I think this is pretty much your bona fide wide receiver too. You keep him on the outside, you keep Stefon Diggs on the outside, you put Demario Douglas in the slot, and that looks like a much better wide receiver core than what we were giving Drake May last season. Not to mention 16 incompletes. 60 receptions for 76 targets. The man catches what is thrown near him. He's got a great catch radius with the 6'2" height, and averaging 17.2 yards per catch is huge because we really relied on Austin Hooper last season, who had about 11, 13 yards per catches. We need a receiver that is going to catch and gain more yardage, and that is what I have seen from Tre Harris in his film. Obviously, why is he going round number 2? He does have a little bit of weaknesses, and the consistent injuries is something to definitely monitor, especially when his injuries came in consecutive seasons. So we'll have to really make sure that he is healthy, and the Patriots are taking care of him if they do end up drafting a guy like that. But overall, if we can keep him healthy, I do think Tre Harris is going to prove to be a good wide receiver in a depth chart that now has a veteran in Stefon Diggs, who's arguably probably still a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL right now. Then you have Pop Douglas as well, too. Do you actually have that depth chart ready with Stefon Diggs that we can actually show him just to give him a visual of, look, Diggs is a great guy, and Diggs is absolutely what we needed, but he couldn't be the only wide receiver move that we made this year. Because Diggs is in his 30s and he's coming off an ACL tear, to give him some fresher legs, to give him a 6'2" target, that is why I really liked getting a guy like Tre Harris. So as you guys can see here, Stefon Diggs at wide receiver 1, Tre Harris at wide receiver 2. You put Pop Douglas in the slot. Keep in mind, you still will have Hunter Henry in your tight end position on the field, maybe even a tight end stack with Hooper. And we're still waiting on the surgence of Polk and Baker. You have Mac Hollins, Booty, Bourne. My God, this is such an improvement from last year. And we're not even at the NFL draft just yet. So let me tell you guys this here just real quick. If you guys want to go see Stefon Diggs, Drake May, and the rest of the Patriots in action later this year, Game Time is the app for you. They are the official ticketing partnership of us here at Patriots Today by Chat Sports. And Game Time is the only ticketing app that I do use. Why? Because you guys are going to get the lowest price guaranteed when you buy tickets to any sporting event, concert, comedy show, or maybe even the theater. Not to mention, you can save 60% on last-minute tickets to see any of your favorite teams play, like the Boston Bruins, the Boston Red Sox, maybe even the Boston Celtics, who are trying to recreate history in TD Garden. They have not been back-to-back champions in the NBA in 56 years. They are trying to do so here this NBA playoff season. So if you guys want to go see your favorite teams play, or maybe even your favorite artist, then just download the Game Time app. Use promo code ChatSports. This will give you guys $20 off your first time buying tickets while terms do apply. Again, download the Game Time app. Use promo code CHATSPORTS. That'll get you guys $20 off your first time buying tickets while terms do apply. Download the Game Time app today, because what time is it? It is game time. And hopefully Mr. Cam Skattebo will be handling the rock for us quite a bit here in 2025. So in reality, when I look at the running backs that were available, and yes, RJ Harvey was available at pick number 69, but here's the reason why I took Cam Skattebo. I was talking with producer Alper, and it's been a while since we've seen Josh McDaniels in an offensive play calling setting in New England. And I remember last year with Alex Van Pelt, it was a disaster. The reason why I like Cam Skattebo for Josh McDaniels is for these 3 reasons right here, which you cannot go wrong with RJ Harvey either. But let me tell you about Skattebo. They're looking for a speed back. They're also looking for a pass catcher, and they're looking for explosion. Burst after contact. Can he carry multiple guys on his back while toting the rock? And when you look at Skattebo, no, He doesn't fit speed back. He runs a 4.57 40 time. That's actually a little bit slower than most of my running back draft prospects. The number one reason why I like him for Josh McDaniels is this: 45 receptions for 605 yards. That is on top of 21 touchdowns, 1,700 rushing yards. And then you look at his receiving stats. We know that way back when Josh McDaniels was the OC, he likes quick slants, jet sweeps, wheel routes. He wants a running back that's got the stickiest hands on the planet because he's going to dish it out, dump it off for a quick couple of yards. That is why I think Skattebo would be very good in this system, because Ramondre Stevenson was not a good pass catcher for Drake May last year. They were used very differently in AVP system, but I really like the amount of yards and the hands that Skattebo does have to possibly be a dual threat quarterback. As you guys can see here, what he does on the ground is also impeccable. 300 carries for 1,700 yards, 21 touchdowns, and he averages 5.8 yards per carry. Ramondre Stevenson was under 4 yards last year per carry. I am intrigued to see how he's going to translate to the NFL. He is a little bit slower, so even if he does get that catch, I'm very intrigued to see how many yards he can gain after the catch because of his speed. But in the same breath, you cannot go wrong with a guy like R.J. Harvey. You cannot go wrong with a guy like Giddens. But I like Skattebo for McDaniel's offense. But, ultimately, the end result is not 110% up to me. So we are going to have to wait and see what Mike Vrabel and Elliott Wolf decide to take here. But in our mock draft, I think that Cam Skattebo could be a really good resource for McDaniels. So I'll ask you guys this. Who should the Patriots draft in round 3? Do you think it should be running back like Giddens or Skattebo? Do you think it should be an edge rusher, maybe another offensive lineman, possibly adding another wide receiver to the mix? You guys let me know in the comment section down below. Who should the Patriots draft in round 3? We do have 2 picks in round 3. Thank you to Matthew Judon, pick number 77. We are going to go with Jordan Burch. Now, I talked to producer Al here for a while about, okay, do we go offensive line, wide receiver, kicker? I'm just kidding. Edge was a big position that a lot of you guys thought that we did need to kind of beef up here a little bit, and it doesn't get much beefier than 6'4", 280 pounds, literally. And the reason why both Alper and I really liked Burch was because of that statistic right there, 8.5 sacks. This guy can bend and reach the quarterback from different angles on the field. And another reason why I like Jordan Burch a lot is because that ceiling is really high, and we don't need him to start in September. He can sit in the depth chart, learn behind a guy like Harold Landry and Keon White. This is not your starter at the edge. That's why I kind of like the negatives with the positives. His scouting report coming in from Tom Downey, number 11 overall edge in the NFL draft, number 70 as a prospect overall. A gifted athlete who rarely misses tackles. Finally started to put it together in 2024. Obviously, like I said, definitely has a bit of a ceiling to reach, but we do have plenty of time as he can't sit in our depth chart. For more flexible and bendy than you would expect his size to be. But he does lack violence in the run game with his size. That I actually liked because I can just envision it now. Mike Vrabel puts on some pads. He starts to go head-to-head with Burch at practice. Vrabel and Terrell Williams are going to know how to get that violence out of him, how to get that aggression. Not to mention he's an energetic pass rusher. He's a very consistent run defender that can definitely have some strength flashes in there. He's very versatile, and he rarely allows tackles to get broken. He is a guy that plays until the whistle is blown, and that just screams Mike Vrabel through and through to me. Because you do not need him to be a starter is why I'm a little bit more attracted to him with pick number 77. As you guys can see here, 31 tackles, 11 TFLs in 10 games played, 8.5 sacks and 32 pressures. I mean, this man loves to wreak havoc against quarterbacks. So when you do start to look at what you have here at the defensive line, you start to really realize, hey, look, our third-round draft pick at edge, he's not going to be starting with Milton Williams, Keon White, and Harold Landry. He's just not. But if you want to put him in the depth chart with Daniel Ekuale, You still have Kyrus Tunga, who you picked up earlier in the free agency. You have Jeremiah Farms. You start to see where that depth chart build does come in play. And we had a lot of injuries on the defense last year. Dietrich Wise Jr. being one of them. Christian Barmore with his blood clots. So it does not hurt whatsoever to bulk up your depth here just a little bit. So that is who I ended up taking. That is where I took my first defensive asset in the NFL draft, was round number 3. I know we did add 11 defensive signings in NFL free agency, so I'm very intrigued to see where the real Mike Vrabel and Elliott Wolf will draft in on Thursday and Friday and Saturday, of where they'll start to take their first defensive player, since they did address so many positions in NFL free agency. But here is a little quick rundown of our overall 3-round mock draft. Will Campbell, round 1, pick number 4, the offensive tackle out of LSU. Tre Harris, round 2, pick number 38, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. Cam Skattebo, round 3, pick number 69, the running back out of Arizona State. And then round 3, number 77, Jordan Burch, edge out of Oregon. Now that you guys have seen this mock draft in full disclosure, go ahead and grade this mock draft. A, B, C, D, or F. I'm biased, so I'm not going to give my grade, but you guys can in the comment section down below. Do not hold back. Let us know, but ultimately take it with a grain of salt, because we are not NFL GMs in any matter. So if you guys haven't already, hit that sub button for me, because we will be live for the real NFL draft here coming up in just 1 week. Go on ahead, hit that sub button for me if you guys haven't already on Patriots Today by Chat Sports, and help us continue to grow this channel.